From the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 45. Then Jesus came to the disciples and said to them, "Sleep and take your rest later on. See, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." While he was still speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a great crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign. "The one I will kiss is the man. Seize him." And he came up to Jesus at once and said, "Greetings, Rabbi," and kissed him. Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you came to do." Then they came up and laid hands on Jesus and seized him. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' chosen disciples, played a pivotal yet tragic role in the story of Jesus' betrayal. While Scripture doesn't provide an in-depth psychological portrait of Judas, we can glean insights into his character and demeanor based on his actions and the context surrounding his betrayal. Judas was among the 12 disciples handpicked by Jesus to accompany him on his ministry. Like the other disciples, Judas witnessed the miracles, heard the profound teachings, and experienced the personal interactions with Jesus. However, underlying motivations and personal flaws gradually emerged within Judas. In the Gospel accounts, Judas is depicted as the treasurer of the group, responsible for managing the finances. It is suggested that he had a penchant for money and may have been motivated by greed. The book of John, chapter 12, verse 6, mentions Judas' inclination towards monetary gain, stating that he was a thief who used to steal from the money bag. The event of the washing of Jesus' feet with expensive perfume exemplifies the dynamics within the group of disciples. As they were gathered at the home of Simon the leper, Mary, the sister of Lazarus, took a pound of costly ointment of pure nard and anointed Jesus' feet, wiping them with her hair. The fragrance of the perfume filled the room. However, Judas, who had an affinity for money, immediately voiced his disapproval of this act of devotion and reverence. He questioned the apparent extravagance, arguing that the expensive perfume could have been sold and the money given to the poor. The incident provided a glimpse into Judas's true character. His concern for the poor was merely a veneer to mask his underlying motives. The Gospel of John explicitly states that Judas' concern for the poor was not genuine, but rather a reflection of his greedy nature. He was more interested in the money that could have been made from selling the perfume. The pivotal moment leading up to Judas' betrayal occurred during the Last Supper, a significant gathering where Jesus shared the Passover meal with his disciples. As they reclined at the table, Jesus made a distressing declaration. "Truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." From the book of Mark, chapter 14, verse 18. These words stirred confusion, and each disciple began to question his own loyalty. Judas too inquired, "Is it I, Rabbi?" Jesus subtly revealed the betrayer by dipping a morsel of bread and handing it to Judas, saying, "What you are going to do quickly." Judas, aware of Jesus' knowledge and intentions, left the gathering immediately. The Gospel of John poignantly adds, "And it was night," symbolizing the darkness that enveloped Judas's heart and soul as he embarked on his treacherous path. Driven by his motivations and greed, Judas sought out the chief priests and elders. The book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 14, records his infamous negotiation. "What will you give me if I deliver him over to you?" They agreed to pay him 30 pieces of silver, a meager price that further emphasized the extent of Judas's betrayal. The opportunity for betrayal arose on the Mount of Olives, or the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus went to pray after the Last Supper. Judas arrived with a crowd armed with swords and clubs sent by the chief priests and elders. In a calculated act of deception, Judas approached Jesus, greeting him with a kiss, a customary gesture of friendship and respect. "Greetings, Rabbi," he said, and kissed him. From the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 49. This deceitful act marked the culmination of Judas's betrayal. Jesus, fully aware of the magnitude of Judas's actions, responded, "Friend, do what you came to do." The phrase friend, spoken by Jesus, carries a tone of sorrow and disappointment, acknowledging the depth of their broken relationship. Judas's betrayal led to Jesus' arrest, subsequent trials, and eventual crucifixion. It was a tragic moment, emphasizing the weight of human frailty and the complexities of human choices. The story of Judas's betrayal serves as a solemn reminder of the dangers of unchecked desires, misplaced priorities, and the devastating consequences of betrayal. It prompts reflection on our own motives and the importance of remaining steadfast in our commitment to truth, righteousness, loyalty, and genuine acts of devotion. After Jesus' crucifixion, the fate of Judas Iscariot, the betrayer, took a tragic turn. Overwhelmed by guilt and remorse for his actions, Judas realized the gravity of his betrayal. According to the Gospel accounts, Judas returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, acknowledging his sin. Filled with regret, Judas attempted to undo the consequences of his betrayal. He confessed, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood," from the book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 4. But the religious leaders callously dismissed his plea, showing little compassion or remorse themselves. Overwhelmed by guilt and despair, Judas found no solace and could not bear the weight of his actions. In the book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 5, it is recorded that Judas went out and hanged himself, ending his own life. The tragedy of Judas's death highlights the devastating consequences of his betrayal and the profound anguish he experienced. The chief priests, upon receiving the returned money, found it improper to put the silver into the temple treasury, since it was considered blood money. Instead, they used it to purchase the potter's field as a burial place for foreigners. This fulfilled the prophecy of Jeremiah, which spoke of the purchase of a field using the money paid to the potter, from the book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 7. Judas's fate served as a cautionary tale, highlighting the profound consequences of turning away from righteousness and betraying trust. It stands as a reminder of the importance of personal accountability, repentance, and seeking forgiveness for one's actions. Various accounts and traditions exist concerning Judas Iscariot's fate. According to the book of Matthew, chapter 27, verse 3, Judas repented after witnessing Jesus' condemnation, returning the silver and taking his own life. Typically thought to be by hanging from the Judas tree, in the book of Acts, book 1, chapter 18, the portrayal differs, suggesting that he purchased a field with the reward of his wickedness and met a more gruesome end by falling headlong with his bowels gushing out. Apocryphal Gospels elaborated on this, referring to the site of his death as the place of blood. The early church father Papias provided grim details about Judas' death, aiming to demonstrate the fulfillment of gospel prophecies. Legends, particularly in Coptic works and medieval literature, further expanded on Judas's story. While in Dante's Inferno, he is cast into the deepest chasm of hell alongside Julius Caesar's assassins, Brutus and Cassius. Despite Judas's name becoming synonymous with betrayal and Judas's kiss representing treachery, not all portrayals depict him as the one who betrayed Jesus. In Muslim polemic literature, Judas is presented as someone who lied to the Jews to defend Jesus, claiming that Jesus was not crucified. In the 14th century, Al-Dimashqi, a cosmographer, claimed Judas was crucified instead of Jesus, having assumed Jesus' likeness. The 2nd century apocryphal Gospel of Judas, a Gnostic text in Greek, offers a unique perspective portraying Judas as Jesus' collaborator and confidant. In this Gospel, discovered in the 1970s and published in 2006 after being translated to Coptic, Judas alone comprehends Jesus' message. During Passover, Jesus imparts secret knowledge about God and creation to Judas, declaring him greater than the other apostles. It seems that Jesus instructs Judas to report him to the authorities, enabling his spiritual self to escape from the material body's constraints. These diverse accounts contribute to the complex and varied understanding of Judas Iscariot's role in the life and crucifixion of Jesus. The Gospel of Judas is an apocryphal Christian text dating back to the 2nd century AD, attributed to the apostle Judas Iscariot. The Gospel presents a Gnostic cosmology and offers a positive portrayal of Judas as the sole apostle who fully comprehends Jesus' teachings. The existence of the Gospel of Judas was known through references by Saint Irenaeus of Lyon in AD 180, who condemned it as a fictional work. Lost for centuries, a Coptic translation of the original Greek text was discovered in a codex found in Egypt during the 1970s. After a series of events, the codex was eventually purchased by the Swiss-based Maecenas Foundation for Ancient Art. In 2006, the Gospel was publicly disclosed alongside other texts in the codex, such as the pseudepigraphal First Apocalypse of James, a letter attributed to the Apostle Peter, and a fragmentary Gnostic work potentially identified as the Book of Allogenes or Book of the Stranger, which was also found among the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945. The Gospel of Judas likely originated from a follower of a Gnostic sect. Gnostics emphasized the power of hidden knowledge and believed that the material world was created by a lesser deity distinct from the transcendent God. The Gospel offers a distinct and unique portrayal of Judas, contrary to the traditional perception of him as a traitor and betrayer of Jesus. Instead, it depicts Judas as Jesus' favored disciple, with Jesus revealing secret knowledge to him that remained concealed from the other apostles. This special revelation encompasses insights into the cosmos, the transcendent God, creation of angels and celestial beings, and the origin of humanity. The Gospel presents conversations between Jesus and Judas occurring during a week, 3 days before he celebrated Passover. In these dialogues, Judas emerges as Jesus' close confidant, and Jesus seemingly entrusts him with a significant role, saying, "You will exceed all of them. You will sacrifice the man that clothes me." This appears to imply that Jesus asks Judas to aid him in liberating his spiritual self from his material body. Consequently, the Judas depicted in the Gospel is not the betrayer of Jesus, but rather his most crucial collaborator.